You wanted to go to the NFL. You were trying to be a pro athlete, and then you had an injury, which broke all those careers.
Yes.
So I guess in that state now, you have this dream you've been working towards your whole life, and now it's shattered. You broke your wrist, right?
Yeah.
And now you have
I had a surgery, and I had a cast on for 6 months, full arm cast.
So now you go through this like traumatic experience, painful physically, painful mentally. Now your dreams are shattered.
I'm on my sister's couch, got no money.
Now you have no money.
It's 2008. I don't know if you bought your first house then, but this is when, this is when the economy was crashing, and they weren't hiring, arena football players into the career workforce who didn't have college degrees, which was me.
So you had no college degree then?
I had no college degree yet. I went back and finished in the next year. I had about 5 credits shy when I went to go, pursue the professional football dream. So I didn't have that in 2008.
And you had how much debt around that time?
I probably had like $23,000 in student loans. And then probably, I don't know, at the time, $65,000 or $7,000 in credit cards off 3 credit cards that was just kind of...
$65,000 or $6,500? $6,500, okay.
So it wasn't more than $30,000, $35,000 total in debt. But it felt like millions because I had no money. I didn't know how to make money. That was the challenge.
And the credit card debt is expensive. You got the bills due every month.
Yeah.
And now you're on your sister's sofa. So I mean, I'm just trying to envision that the position, because now you're in a down economy, one of the worst recessions since the Great Depression. No one is hiring. You have no money coming in. Your sister's probably like, what is my brother doing? Right? Asking you, and that's gonna mentally drain you. What was like that clicking point where you're like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. Like, what was that triggering point?
My sister told me after a year and a half, well, I never wanted to do it, but I didn't have the courage on how to get out of it. So I was finding mentors, I was researching, I was learning things during this time on my sister's couch. I was like consuming content on the internet, and I was looking for people to connect with and learn from. So it wasn't like I was doing nothing, but I wasn't taking enough action to generate revenue yet. I was in learning mode. I was in overcoming fear mode. I was trying to develop new skills, but I didn't know how to ask for $1. I didn't have the courage and say, I can do this for you, will you pay me? I didn't think anyone would pay me anything. And after about maybe a little over a year, my sister said she gave me an incredible gift. It was more valuable than any amount of money. She said, Louis, you gotta leave. You gotta get out of the house. Or you got to start paying rent.
Oh, yeah.
So I'd been there for over a year now, rent-free. And I'd been there over a year, eating her food for free. Kind of living in this state of, now 6 months I was in a full arm cast, so I wasn't really able to do much physically, so I had to recover. Then it was another year of kind of like learning how to use my wrist again, because I lost a lot of mobility. They took a bone out of my hip, put it into my wrist because I shattered the wrist bone. So once it came out of the cast, it was 6 months in this position. So you would think that you'd be fine after you get out of a cast. I couldn't straighten my elbow because I was in this position for 6 months in a 90-degree position. So it just was, my elbow was actually just as much pain as my wrist because of this lack of mobility, because it was in a 90-degree, because they didn't want me to turn my wrist like this. So I had it stuck in this position. And so I had to learn how to rehab all the tendons and the joints, and it was just like stiff, and I couldn't bend or flex my wrist for a long time. And any pressure was really painful. So I had to just kind of learn how to use my body effectively. And still weaker today on my right side than my left side.
Really?
Even though I'm right-handed, I still have weakness there because of that immobility. But she told me, you gotta either pay rent or you gotta leave. And it was an incredible gift because I had essentially mooched off of her for over a year at this point, and welcomed my stay. It was supposed to be like a couple months max, which turned into a year. And she, was a great older sister, supported me, helped me, but I feel like she paid her, she did her part, and she gave me a gift by essentially saying, either pay and contribute now, or you gotta move on. And that was a huge gift because it forced me to take action. Before then, I was learning and developing, but I wasn't acting courageously on like, okay, how do I make money? And so what does any smart younger brother do? when he gets kicked out of one house from one sibling, I call my brother and say, can I stay here for free? And he says, you can stay, but my wife wants you to contribute. So you got to pay $250 a month in rent. And I remember thinking $250 felt like thousands.
And how old were you then?
24 maybe. And so I'm a grown man, but still acting like a child because I can't pay for myself. So I don't feel good. It's not like I'm in a good situation. I felt like my identity was gone, my talents and my gifts I could no longer use to get validation, which was being an athlete, being the man on the football field, playing in front of 20,000 people, getting paid. Even though I was only getting paid $250 a week, it felt like incredible to be able to make money doing something I was good at. So I couldn't save money from arena football. And so he said, you got to pay $250 a month. And it was a stretch because I didn't have that. But it forced me to start getting creative and start asking for money. And I remember my sister, she said, I need you to go get a job so you can contribute. And I remember looking on Craigslist at the time for sports marketing jobs because I was in sports. I did sports marketing in school. And I was like, maybe I can get a job here. Mm-hmm. And I applied for a few and I got an interview for one of these sports marketing companies in Columbus, Ohio. And I remember thinking, this is actually right up my alley. I think I could be really good at this. The company looks cool. It's up and coming, like startup sports marketing brand. I go, and I think it paid, I don't know, 30 grand a year or something like that. It wasn't a lot of money, but it was a lot for me. I was like, oh, I can pay some money here and contribute and make some cash. And I remember having like one sport blazer from like college still, from like senior day or something, right? Or whatever it had. And I was getting dressed to go out for this interview. And I remember opening the front door of my sister's house and looking at the car on the street that I was going to get into to go. And I just, for whatever reason, I couldn't take a step out the door. I like stood there at the door and I was like, okay. I kind of saw like a flash over the next few years. I was like, I believe I'm going to get this job. Maybe my ego was too big then, but I just had this confidence, I'm going to land this job. I'm going to get it. And then I'm going to work really hard because I want to work hard. I want to do well. And then I'm going to be here for a few years and work up in this company and do the best I can. But I don't think it's what I'm supposed to do right now. And so I didn't take the step out of the house. And I said, okay, I shut the door. I didn't even reply and say I'm not showing up. I just didn't go.
Wow.
So I never went to a job interview. And I just said, now I've got to figure this out. And I remember being like, all right, what can I do to start making money?
If you enjoyed this short clip from my longer videos, here's another clip that I think you'll love. And while you're at it, if you're interested in learning more about how to start generating passive income, our team put together an amazing guide on how to start generating passive income for free. All you got to do is click that button right over there. Thank you for watching. And as always, keep hustling.